Alpha
Omega. The world recently honored the passing of David Bowie, who, through his long and prolific musical career, left an indelible mark on popular culture. Few have enjoyed the longevity of David Bowie creating popular music. He produced 28 albums, and his career spanned 50 years.
Through symbolism from the Western esoteric tradition, carefully crafted into his work, David Bowie assumed the mantle of a sort of a musical ascended master, a Gnostic Christ-like character who attained a high level of enlightenment and who sought to communicate an occult message to humanity. Stick around. You're about to discover David Bowie's secret message to humanity. I'm David Griffin.
And I'm Leslie McQuade. This is Magic 101.
While many of David Bowie's peculiarities can be attributed to drugs and rock and roll, his deep and enduring interest in Western occultism is critical to an overall picture of his work. This, at times, shined through the projects David Bowie took on, like the theme for the 1982 film, Cat People, where werecats were played by Malcolm McDowell and Natasha Kinski.
See these eyes so green, I can stare for 1,000 years.
In a 1997 interview, David Bowie was asked, "So, were you involved in actual devil worship?" Bowie replied,
Quote, "Not devil worship, no. It was pure, straightforward, old-fashioned magic."
"The Aleister Crowley variety?" the interview asked.
"No," Bowie replied. "I always thought Crowley was a charlatan. But there was a guy called Arthur Edward Waite, who was terribly important to me at the time, and another called Dean Fortune, who wrote a book called Psychic Self-Defense. You had to run around the room getting bits of string and old crayons and draw funny things on the wall. And I took it all most seriously. Ha ha ha. I drew gateways into different dimensions, and I'm quite sure that for myself, I really walked into other worlds. I drew things on walls and just walked through them and saw what was on the other side."
The influence of former Golden Dawn adepts A.E. Waite and Dion Fortune, together with his statements about opening portals to other dimensions, demonstrates clearly that Bowie at least dabbled in Golden Dawn magic.
In the Golden Dawn, every true adept possesses this ability to open gateways into other dimensions and to see what's on the other side. We call this ability scrying in the spirit vision.
Further evidence for the importance of Golden Dawn magic for David Bowie's work can be found in the lyrics of his song, Quicksand.
I'm closer to the golden dawn, immersed in Crowley's uniform of imagery. I'm not a prophet or a Stone Age man, just a model with potential of a Superman. I'm just living on.
In a 1983 interview, Bowie added,
Quote, "I had this more than passing interest in Egyptology, mysticism, and the Kabbalah. At the time, it seemed transparently obvious what the answer to life was. My whole life would be transformed into this bizarre nihilistic fantasy world of impending doom, mythological characters, and imminent totalitarianism."
In the 1976 song, Station to Station, David Bowie mentions occult doorways to other planes of reality when he describes how to travel down the Kabbalistic tree of life from Kether to Malkuth, that is, from Godhead to Earth.
Kether and Malkuth are two of the 10 stations called Sephirot on the Kabbalistic tree of life used in Golden Dawn magic, respectively the highest and the lowest points.
In a 1997 interview with Q magazine, Bowie expanded on the magical meaning of the song and how no mainstream sources ever addressed it. Bowie said,
Quote, "The station-to-station track itself is very much concerned with the Stations of the Cross. All of the references within the piece are to do with the Kabbalah. It's the nearest album to a magic treatise that I've written. I never read a review that really sussed it." Unquote.
Golden Dawn adepts use Kabbalah as a map of the inner universe. Armed with ritual invocation and symbolical portals, Golden Dawn adepts are courageous explorers of inner dimensions. In a 1995 interview, Bowie finally admitted that in 1976,
Quote, "My overriding interest was in Kabbalah, that whole dark and rather fearsome netherworld of the wrong side of the brain. And more recently, I've been interested in the Gnostics."
when you consider the importance of occultism in David Bowie's life, the most iconic personas of his career take on a deeper level of meaning. In 1969, Bowie released the single Space Oddity, just 9 days before the Apollo 2 moon landing, making Space Oddity the unofficial theme of this monumental event. In Space Oddity, we meet Major Tom for the first time, an astronaut launched into space and whose ultimate destiny was to remain a mystery for decades.
This is Major Tom to ground control.
The Hermetic tradition speaks of spiritual development as energetic evolution and solar ascension. Key to this attainment is soul growth, the cultivation of an energetic solar body that can transcend death. On an esoteric level, Major Tom represents the ascension of mortals towards divinity and marks a new height of incorporating the gnosis of Christian mysteries in David Bowie's artistic production.
In 1972, Bowie introduced another new alter ego who instead descends to Earth from the heavens, Ziggy Stardust, the androgynous alien rock star sent by the infinites to proclaim the coming of starmen to Earth.
Instead of ascending from Earth to the skies like Major Tom, Ziggy Stardust descends from the heavens. He's a higher being who takes on human form to communicate a message, not unlike Jesus Christ. According to Gnostic doctrine, from the earliest times, messengers of the light have come forth from the true God in order to assist humans in their quest for gnosis, or contact, knowledge. The majority of the Gnostics always look to Jesus Christ as the principal savior figure, the Soter, or living savior. The fall to earth and coming of Ziggy Stardust marks the further incorporation into Bowie's works of the Christ archetype, seen as savior-bearing gnosis, the knowledge of spiritual liberation to a fallen humanity. In his book, The Laughing Gnostic, David Bowie and the Occult, author Peter Koenig writes,
Quote, "In Bowie's visionary performance, civilization was going to collapse and the infinites would arrive. Ziggy Stardust was to announce the coming of these starmen bringing hope. Ziggy is their prophet, the Messiah, who takes himself to incredible spiritual highs and is kept alive by the devotion of his disciples. When the starmen finally arrive, they take bits and pieces of Ziggy so they can manifest themselves as real physical beings. Eventually, they tear him to pieces on stage during the performance of the song Rock and Roll Suicide. At the moment of Ziggy's death, the starmen take on his essence and become visible." End quote.
The greatest riddle that all human beings face is the mystery of death. Released only days before his death comes David Bowie's Swan Song, that came to as the songs coming together, Black Star and Lazarus, in which he wraps up the mythology that David Bowie cultivated for 5 decades. This is the final spiritual testament David Bowie leaves for humanity. As Black Star opens at the close of David Bowie's life, At long last, we discover the destiny of Major Tom when we encounter his remains beneath the light of a black star resembling a total solar eclipse.
This sets the stage for the passion of David Bowie's encounter with death, reminiscent of the Passion of the Christ.
In David Bowie's final masterpiece, Black Star, Bowie returns to his iconic role as rock star preacher, bringing us one final message at the close of David Bowie's life, the message of the Black Star. The Black Star is a recurrent motif in alchemical imagery, where it represents the nigredo or blackening process.
According to the solar theory presented in Madame Blavatsky's The Secret Doctrine, 1888, our sun is only a reflection of the real sun behind it, a hidden sun, which is the self-generating source of the life fluid, the vital electricity that feeds the whole system.
Likewise in Kabbalah, where the sun is attributed to Tiferet at the center of the tree of life and Keter at the top of the tree, can then be likened to a sun beyond the sun, or the great central sun of our galaxy. Ancient Kabbalists spoke already of negative veils of existence beyond Keter, known as Ayin, Ayin Sof, and Ayin Sof Aur, implying that another universe exists behind the manifest one.
This notion has been confirmed by discoveries in modern astronomy. Thanks to breakthroughs in astronomical observations, we now know that the sun beyond our sun, the great central star of our galaxy, is not a star at all, but rather a massive black hole, a black star.
In Black Star, David Bowie symbolically proclaims a cosmology surrounding death that goes beyond even the notion of solar ascension that comprises the very heart of the Hermetic tradition. In Black Star, David Bowie suggests the existence of an even higher state of awareness than the cosmic consciousness that exists inside light at the stellar frequency of the universe. David Bowie suggests that supreme consciousness lies even beyond light, inside the black hole universe. It is with this black star that David Bowie fully identifies at the time of his death. And we see this also reflected in the Black Star song and the video with Major Tom floating away to be pulled into the black star. As Jesus Christ faced his Garden of Gethsemane, not even David Bowie's identification with the black star at our galactic core could prevent the passion and anguish of physical death, immortalized in Black Star as the passion of the blind old man. In Lazarus, David Bowie's final video and companion to Black Star, we witness the mystery of resurrection. For in Lazarus, David Bowie emerges triumphant beyond death into Black Star consciousness, where he opens proclaiming, as David Bowie bids farewell to the physical world, he leaves us that part of him that lives on. That same part of him that ascended into space as Major Tom and descended to Earth as Ziggy Stardust. What also will live on is David Bowie's final message about death and immortality in his final proclamation, I'm a black star.
Considering the cultural iconic role David Bowie embodied through his music of a Gnostic version of a Christ Savior figure, it is suiting we end this memorial with the ending from David Bowie's 2013 music video, The Next Day. Until next time, I'm Leslie McQuade.
I'm David Griffin, and this is Magic 101. Have you ever wanted to gain real magical abilities so you can become the master of your destiny?
Do you wish you could get the ancient secret key for free so you can build the life of your dreams?
If you've wanted more out of life, to become all that you can be, physically, romantically, financially, spiritually, then you need to take action and get this right now.
That's right, and for free, but it won't be available for much longer.
So go right now to thescienceofmiracles.com and get started. Achieve the prosperous life you want for yourself. Gain ultimate life mastery. Also find our daily ritual live stream.
That's right. Every day, starting at precisely sunrise Pacific time, you are invited to experience first-person shooter magic you'll find nowhere else on the web.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And it's not only unique in the way that it's presented, where you're live right in the middle of the action of the ritual, but what's even cooler about it is the ritual is written in the first-person perspective of Jesus Christ. This comes from a manuscript that archaeologists found in Egypt. And they say that it comes from very, very, very early Christians, but the Christians themselves, those early Christians, say it was actually written by Jesus and was the secret magic he taught his disciples.
Regardless of who wrote it or who practiced it, we have picked it up, dusted it off, and we are taking it for a test drive, and you are in the passenger seat for the whole thing.
You bet. And it's really quite amazing. You're going to check it out. I mean, until now, after it was discovered, this manuscript has been in the hands of scholars. This is the first time it's really in the hands of magicians and being brought out and brought back to life. So check us out every morning at sunrise.
Are you familiar with the Rosicrucian with what's his name? He's popular in the States. He's the president or the from the Golden Dawn. What's his name?
Oh.
David Griffin.
David Griffin.
David Griffin.
Have David Griffin.
I saw an email yesterday that he sent out about, there's a magical war going on.
Demons of the infernal realm. All of them.
There is really a magical war going on. There is a guy called David Griffin who is heading all these magicians.
David Griffin is S.L. McGregor Mather's present successor.
David Griffin.
David Griffin.
David Griffin.
I'm Golden Dawn Imperator David Griffin.
David Griffin.
David Griffin.
David Griffin.
Now, David Griffin.
There's a magical war going on.
So there is really a magical war going on.